Hello and welcome to Goacast 2024, the official podcast of Goafest. My name is Ankita Pahwa and today we have the pleasure of sitting with Darshana Shah, the head of marketing and customer experience at Aditya Birla Group. Hi Darshana, how are you?
Hi Ankita, all good.
So to begin with, could you please tell us about the amazing work that you are doing with Aditya Birla Group?
So thank you very much. Yes, I'm with Aditya Birla Capital and a lot of things that we are doing. See, we are in financial services and Aditya Birla Capital is all about the money needs of the consumers, across the financial solutions, whether it is loans, investments, insurance and payments. And that's the kind of work we are really doing currently, trying to build the equity of our brand. Specifically capital, because we are a large conglomerate and Aditya Birla Group is into many things, but as capital we are into only financial services, so trying to just build the brand stronger, building the brand narrative stronger, and the way consumers are today looking at money, post COVID a lot has changed, and bringing those newer insights also. The way younger consumers, the Gen Zs and the millennials are interacting with financial services, it's very different from the erstwhile. So we are obviously, and you as brands, you have to be a part of those trends. You have to, imbibe those things and be relevant to that consumers also. So that's where the large focus is today.
Hey, you just wrapped up your session on gender sensitive marketing, which was a brilliant session, by the way. But for the people who unfortunately couldn't be here, could you quickly run us through the key points and key insights from your session?
So see, the whole session which IA is trying to do, IA, and along with that UNICEF also, and where we've partnered as a brand, is to bring about the change in gender stereotyping, and specifically in India, it is a lot of gender stereotyping coming more from women. That how we stereotype women in the roles, how we advertise that, the way the scripts are written. So they're shown in the kitchen, they're shown as mothers, a lot of beauty and fashion only, but why not in many other the categories? And how do you bring that change, because society at large has changed. And some of the key points which came out, one of the thing is, and how we is our education system in schools also, when we are taught about services, and if you see those photographs, there is a policeman, it is a doctor is male, your army is male, your navy is male. So all the services, the photographs over there are also male. I mean, it's not female. So to remember that a doctor can also be a woman, and a police woman is possible and not a policeman. It all starts from there. It starts in your very native years at how you are building, and today, and that brings all the way up to your culture, your people in your workplaces. How much of diversity do you see there? So I was telling that in the panel, that your CCOs today, the chief creative officers in agencies, how many women are up there? How many names do we remember? Everybody knows Piyush and Prasoon and all the next generation of people, but how many women creative leaders are there? So is diversity there in the leadership in our organizations? Because that's very important. In your creative teams, are there enough women writers, copywriters, art, are they there? Because they will bring definitely a different perspective. So it all starts from there. Also on the marketing side, are we conscious enough to bring narratives which are not stereotyping women, not putting them out there? And one of the campaigns that I did, just recently is called Paisa Hai Power, where we brought in that change that, today the way post-COVID, and because a lot of bread earners were not there, and women suddenly became that whole fulcrum in the house who was not just financially independent, but she also got her acceptance from her family, from her in-laws, to say that, yeah, meri bahu ab paise kama rahi hai aur meri bahu ab ghar chalayegi, as opposed to meri bahu khali khana pakayegi. So that entire change has come in, and we were trying to show that with that change, her validation, her acceptance that she's also financially independent, and her voice has to be heard. And the entire, so our narrative and our campaign, the commercials were around that if her husband is getting a change in job and if he has to move the cities, she does not have to leave her career behind and back, lock, stock, barrel, go with him.
Yeah.
She can say that, listen, I have a good career here, so I will be here, you be there, we can meet over the weekends, we can travel, we can plan. So this kind of acceptance in the society, or taking a home finance. Can a father-in-law ask the bahu and not wait for the son to guide? Can she be the advisor of what kind of financial solutions to be used or to be taken? I think these are the changes, that her voice is also being heard, and that's what we were trying to show. And added to that, this time I also ensured, and it also came from the craft, that how many women director do we have? And every time as marketeers, when we are looking at the list of directors that come and when we're seeing their, their craft, can we also ask that I want a women director's work also? And after that, if she merits and if the work is good, why can't I take her? And that is a realization which happened to me being part of this being part of UNICEF and trying to drive this change. And I realized, why don't I have a women director also? And I think that's the kind of smaller things consciously we have to make efforts. So these are the things, and the other thing that came out in that panel very interestingly is that today the Gen Zs are, and they are your consumers and they are digital first and all of that, and they are actually gender blind. They are not putting all these things.
That is true.
They are open.
Yeah.
So it's only the older ones which are. So we have to also ensure that then that generation is very cool, and they are not saying male, female. Couple of other things. Your product, are the product designed for genders? Are the product designed which are gender neutral and not becoming for men and for women? And so those were the insights that came in, and I think it was a very interesting panel. And collectively, I think as fraternity, as the agencies and as marketeers, we have to come together and ensure that consciously we start driving the change, because one of the data point was that if we don't do it together, it will take another 250 years to make that change. But can we bring it down and make it in the next 40 years by collectively partnering and making conscious, unstereotyped choices?
Very well said. But you know what? Time and again, women have for sure proven what great leaders they are. But unfortunately, a sad fact is that a lot of talented and intelligent women, they are forced to, by the time they reach, 30 to 35, they are forced to quit their jobs because of this overwhelming, unexpected societal pressure that's put on them. Have you ever felt that pressure?
I have felt pressure from the time, because I come from a family where we were 3 girls, 3 daughters, so and a Gujarati business family, so working by itself was not accepted. On top of that, my parents always had a pressure ki ladka kahan hai, beta kahan hai. This is again the cultural thing in our society, right? So the way we were raised is to have our voices and to be independent, because my parents were very clear, and I was allowed to go and join and work. So I think to bring that change, you definitely first need family to help you, because, and I was talking, so there are a lot of roles. Our education system tells you that for women, sales wale roles are not easy. Don't go in sales. Your director, all these heavy work hour roles are by design in your education system. Only your professors and teachers, because outside of your family, the next people whom you're looking upon to, who are at your impressionable age, are your teachers, your education system. They start telling you that as women, what kind of roles you should do and what kind of roles you should not do. So that's another deterrent. They are not telling you to be open, to be trying out different things. And that's why you'll not see a lot of women in sales. And the moment women are not in sales, because when you have to be a leader, you also have to have a business aspect. And that's why you don't see many women in leadership roles. Because it's all connected, because you have to be comfortable talking about P&L, you have to be comfortable talking about business, and you have to be, being looking at things like that. And that's why you see more women in HR role, more in support function. You will see more of them in marketing role, for example. But in leadership, one of the core requirements is to understand business and P&L and drive sales. And these are the fallouts which starts all from there. So have I felt that pressure? Many times. And specifically when you see that 30, 35 year, that age dropout is because when you have started a family. And the moment you have a child, you are a guilty mother all the time that you're working, and that's a reality.
Yeah.
I have worked with guilt, and you have to accept that you're going to be working with guilt, because you are trying to deliver your best at work. You are working long hours. I used to travel. At the same time, I have a young baby at home demanding. He used to wait at the lift till the time I would come home. He would call me, "Where are you?" I'd be waiting there. And then you feel guilty. Every time I used to travel, I used to cry in the aircraft, and when I was going to London and all of that, oh my God, because I was missing him. But at the same time, this is a life that you have to learn to live, and that's why we women also have to learn to lean in. We have to find our ecosystem. We have to find our friends. I had my mother-in-law, being there to help me raise my son whilst I was working also. So we also have to ensure that we lean in. We also have to find our ecosystem. We have to create our nannies to everything around. And that's why, so that we don't, because that's where you end up giving up your work. That's where you end up, because now to and because society puts that pressure, otherwise कि ये कैसी माँ है कि जो घर का बच्चे को छोड़ के अपना करियर बना रही है. And there are many people who will tell you that.
That's where the guilt comes from.
That's where the guilt comes, and I feel that you rather accept that guilt and still continue in your journey and don't give up. Yeah, you may decide to take that one. I mean, today, of course, the maternity policy is much better. You get 6 months and more leaves. The organizations are much better. They allow you. There is work from home available, which COVID has taught you. Work from any place is also possible in many areas of field, and many industries or many organizations are still open to that. So if you have all of that given to you, why not use that to your advantage? Absolutely. And not give up working. Don't give up your dreams is what I will say. Work with that guilt. It's okay. It's okay if whatever people say, because finally you also have to live for yourself.
Exactly.
You also want your own identity. And that's my take. So yes, many times that pressure had come, but fortunately I had a great ecosystem. My husband was very good. I had a great partner. So who at least, so my family, my friends, my partner, my husband, all of them pushed me to continue in the journey.
So do you think that pressure to be perfect follows women to her workplace as well?
All the time. And I think that's again where we are guilty. So I was giving an example on the panel about this lady, and we so proudly talk about it, which really makes me angry, that bearing a child and giving birth is a big milestone.
Yeah.
And that's what we are. We are nurturers by design. So when you are giving, you have to accept that milestone and enjoy and not be insecure. Whilst I'm away, what will happen? Will somebody take away my role? And I don't have to deliver a baby and in the next breath start doing meeting after one day. And I heard somebody giving that example with a lot of pride, and I think that's where we are wrong. We have to learn to take that breather. We have to learn to pass the baton to the next colleague, or create a team who is empowered enough that when you're not there, they can run the show. That's very important, and not be insecure all the time, because you'll always come back. It's okay. We will go through many things. Even men go through many things. We also will go through many things. We'll also go through, the whole, the post delivery issues. There are many things that will come in life. We have to accept that.
Yeah.
And not be insecure. And that's why create leaders in your team. Stop cherishing this kind of pressure and stop being perfect. The other thing is that I hate when people want to today now portray the other extreme of Nirupa Roy, who used to be that Mother India and crying all the time. The other extreme is women always been shown as courageous.
Yeah.
And that's also not true. We don't have to be courageous.
There
we
is
do
a
fall.
vulnerable side.
Yeah,
to
we have a
every
vulnerable
woman,
side. We will cry. We will go through all those, phases where we'll want to cry, and it's okay to be a woman. It's okay to be vulnerable. In fact, today the society is accepting men to be vulnerable. That's the other stereotype, that men always have to be that macho. No, they will cry. They have to be vulnerable. You have to be authentic. So I think we have to stop carrying this pressure and stop expecting that out of the next generation also.
Very well said. So coming back to the advertising scene in India, how important do you think is for brands to adapt their strategies, adapt their messaging in a more gender-sensitive way?
Absolutely, because that is where now a brand like Fair and Lovely, who made that brand, finally, of course, there was an insight, and that insight did come from the people wanting fairer, girl and fairer women and all. But finally, the brand thrived on it. And who created the advertising? The big names, the big advertising names in India. Did they go and say that let's not? Because of course there was a consumer insight. There is a cultural fact that men want to marry pretty, fair women. But did we stop that? Did we allow that? Yes, we allowed it, and that's where the conscious choices come from the advertising agency, from the creative side, and also from the brand to say no to some of these things. And to bring in, like I was giving an example where earlier when I was in retail, it is constantly told to us that for your fashion, the models that you choose, bring in the foreigners, bring in the Western skin, bring in that white skin, is because that's what sells. But do I have a conscious choice to say no? Let's be authentic. Let's bring in our Indian skin and tone, bring in our regional authenticity over there. And today, I tell you honestly, what is showing us, who is showing that to us is the content creators. They come from that background. They come from those really small town, the farmers. And I had this example of a Bihari lady who was in Ghungat in the house. But the moment she's out in her tractor, she's from the farmer background, she puts her Ghungat up and she's creating content in the Bhojpuri language.
Wow.
Now that's the world and they are teaching you. We better adapt. Otherwise, I don't know for whom are we going to be relevant. Because India is about its culture, India is about its religion, and we have to bring in that.
Do you see that shift happening in the next 2-3 years?
It has to happen because as marketeers, I'm an Indian brand. If I have to be true to that, I cannot just be for the urban population who can speak English. I have to bring in that part of society, that part of language barrier, and bring those influences. The moment I bring that content creator in, I have to be true to that narrative, and they are bringing in and they speak in their language. So yes, that change has already happened, and we have to imbibe that change. We can't sit and write scripts only in Hindi and then translate in the South Indian language. That's not what they want. They want you to think in the language. So that change is already happening, whether we like it or not, because your content creators are doing that.
And that, guys, was Darshana Shah for you. Thank you so much, Darshana, for joining us, and all the very best. And let's hope for a gender-neutral advertising landscape in the next few years. And I hope we achieve that very soon.
Yeah, and I hope, and thank you, Ankita, for inviting. Thank you very much.